Thank you very much for introduction. My name is Hiromasa Niinomi from Tohoku University, Japan. And first of all, I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to present my talk here, and especially thank Professor Yabuta for inviting me to this symposium. And today, I would like to talk my presentation with this kind of title, The Homoimmiscible Water and its Implied Structural Diversity, Density, Liquid Crystallinity, and Chirality. So in this presentation, let me share my unexpected discovery of unknown water separated from water. Okay, so as you already know, water is a very important liquid, not only for human beings, but also for the all living organisms on the Earth, because it strongly impacts on the global climate through its phase transformation among the water, the vapor, and the ices. And the change of the global climate strongly impacts on the activity of the lives on the Earth from the outside. Not only from the outside, from the inside, the water strongly impacts on the activity of the living organisms, because the functionality of the protein inside the living organism is strongly influenced by the structure of the hydrated water surrounding them. So not only for the natural science, but also engineering, water is very important. For example, hydrogen electrocatalysis is actually governed by the chemical reaction between the water and the electrolyte. So many phenomena is based on the property of the water. Okay, so you may think that water is a very usual liquid. However, actually, water is shows a very unique and mysterious property. And this graph shows one example of the unique property of the water. And this graph shows the isothermal compressibility, which is one of the thermodynamic response function on the temperature. As I indicated by the white dot line, the typical liquid shows a linear dependency. However, the water shows the nonlinear dependency. And it tends to diverge at the singular point with a certain pressure and temperature conditions. However, the origin of the unique property of the water is still unclear. Then researchers believe that the variety of the liquid structure water is a key to understand the unique property of the water. And the water believed to be showed two kinds of liquid structure. The left-handed one is a disordered high-density liquid caused by the isotropic van der Waals interaction. And the second one is a tetrahedral structured low-density liquid caused by the anisotropic hydrogen bonding network. Here I briefly introduce you the most leading hypothesis to explain the origin of the unique properties of water. The hypothesis is second critical point hypothesis. And in this hypothesis, the origin of the unique properties of water can be explained by assuming the second critical point where water is separated into low-density liquid and high-density liquid. And the high-density liquid. And to confirm this hypothesis, direct observation of the liquid phase separation of water is very important. However, no one has observed this liquid phase separation of water. And this is because the second critical point has been predicted to be in the experimentally inaccessible region beyond the supercooling limit. And this region called the no man's land. And due to the hindering of the no man's land, it seems to be impossible to directly observe the liquid phase separation of water. So researchers tried to obtain the signature of the liquid phase separation of water from the microscopic views. Here, let me mention about one research because this is a symposium on the not chirality, although this is a little bit out of the scope of my presentation. But one researcher modeled tetrahedral liquid mimicking water, and they analyzed the liquid structure from the viewpoint of the topology. And for the high density liquid, and they stated that the liquid-liquid phase separation of water can be described as a transition between the unentangled low-density liquid and the unentangled high-density liquid. And this is maybe interesting for you, so I mentioned this research. But anyway, I told you that the no man's land hinders to, observe the macroscopic liquid phase separation of water. So researchers have tried to obtain the signature of this liquid phase separation from the microscopic view by using the several sophisticated and complicated methods. For example, ultra-short pulse X-ray diffraction of the supercooled microdroplet water and linear and non-linear spectroscopy with complex objects, and also the molecular dynamics simulations. And what I want to emphasize here that in the previous study, researchers have strongly focused on the molecular level microscopic phenomena. So macroscope view has been overlooked because of the presence of the no man's land. Here, in this presentation, let me share with you the macroscopic insight obtained from very simple conventional method, which is the in situ optical observation on the interface between the water and the ice crystallized by the pressure using the ambient cell. And I'm going to show the existence of the unknown water separated from water at the interface. Okay, so let me explain my experimental setup. And actually, we observed the interface between water and several ice polymorphs, ice 1H and ice 3, ice 5 and 6. And to crystallize these polymorphisms, low temperature and high pressure condition is required. So to obtain the low temperature condition, we used a low temperature loom set at the Hokkaido University, and we launched the optical setup in the low temperature loom kept at -10 and -20 degrees Celsius. And to obtain a high pressure condition, we used the ambient cell, very conventional method. And ambient cell is where high pressure can be obtained by pressing the ultra pure water by a pair of the ambient made by sapphire. And the ambient cell that we used is a dynamic ambient cell where the pressure can be controlled electrically by piezo actuator interleaved between the metal jigs supporting the ambient cell. And we control the piezo actuator by using the square wave voltage generated from the function generator. Now, of course, this ambient cell high pressure can be controlled also manually by our hands. Okay, so let me show you the in situ movie of the interface between the water ice 3 at first. This is a polarized microscopic image, and maybe you can see it here, the ice 3 crystals in the water. I mean, the surrounding medium is water. So by pressuring, by pressuring, the crystal can be grown, and please look at this face indicated by pointer. Maybe you can see the fluidity of the interface, and also at the interface, the droplet was formed. Maybe I hope you can see the droplet formation, but let me skip to the moment which we can clearly see the droplet. And maybe here you can see, if we magnify this region, droplet was formed at the interface. This is very strange and interesting phenomena because even though surrounding medium is water, another water droplet was formed at the interface. So this is very interesting, and we named this unknown water homoimmiscible water. Okay, and so let me show you another movie. And by pressuring crystals, and the thin film-like homoimmiscible water was formed, and after stopping the pressurization, the homoimmiscible water showed the bicontinuous pattern the bicontinuous pattern is mentioned in the previous presentation by Professor Shimokawa. And this, how to say, unique pattern is very interesting. And the in situ observation revealed that the homoimmiscible water can show several kinds of the morphologies. One is thin film-like and thin film with holes and a bicontinuous pattern and droplet-like morphologies. And let me focus on the bicontinuous pattern because this pattern is generally seen in the spinodal liquid-liquid phase separation of two-component immiscible liquids, such as the PMMA polystyrene system and silver and copper system and so on. This indicates that the unknown water is immiscible with water. This further indicates the structure of the unknown water is different from bulk water. So to confirm the generality of this phenomena, we decided to observe the interface between water and I6. Although we could not visualize the homoimmiscible water by using conventional bright field microscopy, but if we introduce the interferogram, we could visualize the homoimmiscible water at the interface. And please wait minutes. And here, maybe you can see the fine interference here, and this interference spreading over the interface at the interface. And the right-hand movie shows the case of the rapid crystallization by using a dynamic ambient cell. Now you can see the spreading of the homoimmiscible water over the surface of the interface. So we confirmed the existence of the unknown water also for the interface at water and I6. So it is curious to observe the interface between the water and the ice-1H, which is a common ice for us. And this is an in situ movie of this interface. And left-hand movie shows the observation interface between water and the ice-1H grown by decompression. You can also see the droplet formation and the thin film formations. And if they are close with each other, the droplet incorporated into the thin films. This supports the fluidity of the homoimmiscible water. And actually, right-handed movie shows the case for the melt by compression. Also, for this case, droplet formation could be observed clearly. So this phenomena has a generality. So one question comes up here. So is the density of the unknown water higher or lower than water? To discuss this point, we focused on the interfacial free energy. And if we consider this kind of system, if the interfacial free energy between ice and water is larger than that between the ice and unknown water, the structure of unknown water is possibly similar with that ice and water. This means the density of the unknown water is similar to the ice. And by considering simply the Young's equation, this relationship of the interfacial free energy can be valid when the wetting angle is less than 90 degrees. And if the ice is high pressure ice, the unknown water should be high density is higher than that of the bulk water because the density of the high pressure ice is larger than that of water. And for the case of the ice-1H, the unknown water density of the unknown water should be lower than bulk water because the density of the ice-1H is lower than bulk water. And to estimate this wetting angle range, we measure the size of the droplet and measure the size and thickness of the droplet. And the size of the droplet was found to be 8 micrometers from the in situ movies. And to estimate the thickness of the homoimmiscible water, we focused on the adhesion-induced fingering instability. In this phenomena, the elastic thin film, if the elastic thin film was sandwiched by a pair of the rigid substrate, the elastic thin film shows the bicontinuous pattern with a constant wavelengths depending on the thickness of the elastic thin film. And this wavelength is known to be proportional to the thickness of the elastic thin film, independent from the physical property. And by considering the anvil and the I3 as a pair of the rigid substrate, we, expect that the homoimmiscible water should show the bicontinuous pattern induced by this fingering instability. So we tried to observe this fingering instability. Let me show you by in situ observation of the bicontinuous pattern formations. Maybe you can see here that the homoimmiscible water shows the bicontinuous pattern induced by the fingering instability. So we analyzed the wavelengths of this bicontinuous pattern, and we estimate the thickness was 2 micrometer. So from the size and the thickness, wetting angle is probably less than 19 degrees. So the density of the unknown water is higher than bulk water. And a similar discussion can be applied to the homoimmiscible water at the interface between the water and the I6. And in this case, also, the density of the homoimmiscible water is larger than that of water. And for the case of the I1H, we could measure estimate the wetting angle roughly from the interference range of the interferometer. And the result was the wetting angle was 1.8 degrees. This is extremely small. So density of the unknown water at the interface between water and the I1H lower than bulk water. So, and then let me compare the conventional picture of the ice-water interface and the picture of the ice-water interface provided by our in situ observation. And in the previously, molecular dynamics simulations have shown that this kind of ice-water interface, picture of the ice-water interface, and the order or density of the ice continuously loses within the transition layer with several nanometer thickness. And however, our in situ observations have shown that this kind of picture at the interface between water and ice, the unknown waters with several micrometers thickness actually exists at the interface. And from the previous discussions, for the high pressure ices, high density unknown water exists. On the other hand, for the ice-1H, low density unknown water exists actually. Okay, so let me move to the in situ observation for the case of the ice-5. Yeah. And in this in situ movie, we rapidly pressurize the ultra-pure water. And maybe you can see the bicontinuous pattern formed at the cutting edge of the crystals. Maybe you can see here a bicontinuous pattern. So, and this bicontinuous pattern formation is very similar to the dynamics of the liquid-liquid phase separation of water. Get the information about the similarity with the liquid-liquid phase separation, we analyze the time evolution of the characteristic length, which is the wavelength of the bicontinuous pattern, by analyzing the in situ movie. Okay. And this is a time evolution of the wavelengths of the bicontinuous pattern. Maybe you can, I hope you can see the 3 kinds of discontinuous stages. Okay. And to interpret this plot, let me introduce you briefly the general theory of the liquid-liquid phase separation. And the liquid-liquid phase separation can be described by model H, where the Canfield equation coupled with Navier-Stokes equation. And the Canfield equation describes the spinel decomposition in the elastic mediums. And this Canfield equation is based on the diffusion equation. And as you already know, Navier-Stokes equation describes the dynamics of the fluid flow. And by introducing the additional term indicated by yellow, these two equations can be coupled with each other. And this is, how to say, summary of the model H. And the model H predicts the time evolution of the characteristic length. And since the bicontinuous pattern developed self-similarity, so the time evolution should be proportional to the power function of the time, because its development follows a dynamic scaling law. And also, model H predicted several kinds of the physical regime. And the initial stage, namely the interface between the two kinds of liquid, is unclear. The liquid phase separation proceeds through the molecular diffusion. So the system is governed simple quantitative equation decoupled from the Navier-Stokes equation. And the model H is predicted the power of the power function of the time is predicted to be 1/3 in this regime. And after the interface between the two kinds of liquid becomes clear, the contribution of the Navier-Stokes equation becomes evident. So regime moved from the diffusive regime to viscous regime, governed by the viscous force of the liquid flow. And in this regime, the power of the power function is predicted to be 1. And after that, the fluid flow requires the inertial force. And the regime moved from the viscous regime to inertial regime. And in this regime, power of the power function to 1/3. And after that, to reduce the gives free energy loss due to the presence of the interface, the system was governed by the also wipening. And in this regime, the power of the power function is predicted to be 1/3. And considering by this general theory about the liquid-liquid phase separation, we can, how to say, discuss this plot I previously showed you. And by fitting using the power function of time, we can get the powers of the power functions. And these powers are very similar to the that in the viscous regime and the inertial regime and the ripening regime. So this means that the despite of the single component of the system water, the dynamics has similarity with spin-nodal liquid-liquid phase separation. Although I do not insist this is a spin-nodal liquid-liquid phase separation, but there are similarity with this separation. And also, the analysis of the dynamics supports the fluidity of the homoimmiscible water. Okay, so let me show you another interesting movie of the homoimmiscible water at the interface between water and ice-5. And the homoimmiscible water also show the spindle-like duetting with anisotropy. And maybe you can see the spindle-like duetting of the homoimmiscible water at the interface. And this is the time-lapse micrographs of the duetting, and the middle line indicates the magnified image of the bicontinuous pattern, and the below one is corresponding Fourier transformations. And then from the Fourier transformation, you can clearly see the anisotropy of this pattern, and this anisotropic pattern now always elongated to the 101 direction of the crystallographic orientations. So let me discuss the origin of this anisotropy. And the right-handed figure shows the crystal structure of the ice-5, and the yellow dot line indicates the hydrogen bonding. And if we look at the crystal structure from this side, and we can see the columnar structure of the hydrogen bonding network. So maybe the anisotropy of the bicontinuous pattern reflects this columnar structure, anisotropy of the columnar structure. And so I showed you the fluidity of the homoimmiscible water and the anisotropy of the bicontinuous pattern of the homoimmiscible water. I am not clear. I'm not clear, but there is a possibility of the homoimmiscible water is transiently the liquid crystal. So then we measure the thickness of the homoimmiscible water at this during this dynamics by analyzing the interference fringe. The thickness of the homoimmiscible water was estimated to be approximately 19 nanometer. And then this is a cross-section of our situation. And pink region indicates the ice 5 with the crystallographic anisotropy, and the blue indicates the bulk water. And the purple region indicates the homoimmiscible water with the anisotropic morphology reflecting the anisotropy of the crystallographic, anisotropy. And when we consider the effective range of the interaction from the ice as a substrate, the effective range of the interaction from the ice substrate 10 nanometer at most, because the most long-range interaction is a van der Waals interaction. However, the thickness of the homoimmiscible water is 19 nanometer. This is greatly larger than that of the effective range of the interaction from the ice surface. So maybe long-range interaction reflecting crystallographic anisotropy beyond 19 nanometer is necessary. So although we do not know clearly, the several recent studies have shown that our recent hyper-Raman scattering experiment suggested long-range correlation of the vibration modes of liquid D2O over 200 nanometer, and they ascribed this long-range correlation dipole-dipole interaction of the permanent dipole of the waters. And it seems to be one, conceivable reason of this long-range correlation of the anisotropy. But anyway, so this discussion leads to us the conclusion the homoimmiscible water possibly may be the liquid crystal achieved by the dipole-dipole interaction. So I told you that the homoimmiscible water showed anisotropy reflecting the anisotropy of the crystallographic anisotropy. So one question comes up here. If we use the chiral crystal as a substrate of the ice, does homoimmiscible water exhibit chirality or not? And fortunately, the chiral I3 is actually the chiral crystal. So we decided to observe the homoimmiscible water dynamics between the water and I3. And this is an in situ movie. Maybe you can see also the bicontinuous pattern formation of the homoimmiscible water at the interface. And this is a magnified, middle line indicates the magnified image of the bicontinuous pattern. And the below one is a corresponding Fourier transformation pattern. And generally, the Fourier transformation of the bicontinuous pattern shows the annular pattern, because the wavelength of the bicontinuous pattern is constant in whole directions. So, however, in our case, the vortex-like intensity profile was obtained. So this means, and the Fourier transformation, intensity of the Fourier transformation can be considered as the order of the spindle-like wave. And if we consider the z-axis as the order of the spindle-like wave, in this space, maybe there is a chirality. So vortex-like intensity profile suggests there is a macroscopic chiral ordering in the pattern of the homoimmiscible water. And maybe this comes from the chirality of the liquid structure. I don't know about at this moment, but this is a possibility. Then similar discussion was applied also for this dynamics. And this is a time evolution of the characteristic length of the bicontinuous pattern, and the yellow dot indicates of the time evolution of that. And the green that indicates the root mean square of the brightness as a reference. Maybe you can see that there are discontinuous change divided into the stage 1 and stage 2. And please remember the previous discussion. We can apply the same discussion. And the power of the fitted power function was very similar to the inertial regime and the rippling regime. So also for this case, despite of the single component system of water, the dynamics has similarity with spinodal liquid phase separation, and the analysis of the dynamics supports the fluidity of the homoimmiscible water. And also, I'm sorry repeating the discussion, but this is, I think this is important. And we also estimate the thickness of homoimmiscible water during this dynamics by analyzing the interference fringe. The thickness of the homoimmiscible water was estimated to be 100 nanometer. So the same discussion can be applied. The thickness of the homoimmiscible water reflecting the chirality of the crystal chirality of the I3 was 100 nanometer. This is very large scale. So a long range interaction should be necessary. And I told you that the, hyperraman scattering showed the long range correlation over 1200 nanometers through the dipole-dipole interaction of the permanent dipole of the water molecules. So this leads us the conclusion that the homoimmiscible water at the interface between the water and the I3 may be the crystal, a chiral liquid crystal achieved dipole-dipole interaction. Okay, so here is a summary of my talk. The in situ microscopic observation uncovered the existence of the unknown water layer macroscopically separated from bulk water at the interface between water and the ICs 1H, 3, 5, and 6. And we named the unknown water homoimmiscible water, and the morphology of the and dynamics of the homoimmiscible water implied a diversity in their liquid structures in terms of density and liquid crystallinity and the chirality. Oh, that's my talk is that's it. Thank you very much for your kind attentions.